Hey there, Kingdom Dream Chasers. I am so excited to be with you for episode 2 of our Freedom series. So, last week we did a little bit of an overview. We talked about the freedom of choice. You do not want to miss that. It's pretty foundational to this conversation. There are going to be there are 5 Wednesdays in July, so I'm going to be dropping 5 total episodes on this topic, and this is episode 2. This one is Freedom from Fear, but really the subtitle is Choosing Trust Over Fear. So we're going to break that down today. The last time we talked about choice, there is, of course, we get to choose. The feelings that we get, they are sometimes subconscious. We don't really sometimes have control over the feelings that we experience, but we certainly have control over what we do about them, and more importantly, how we interpret them. I'll never forget the first time I heard someone say feelings are not facts, and I felt like, the angels were singing. Like it was like, oh, it was so profound to me that my feelings were not facts, but yet I had been interpreting them as such for a very long time, which makes you feel very powerless. And when we are afraid, we do feel powerless. Some years ago, I had a counselor actually tell me that I'm going back like over 30 years ago. This was a pretty profound moment as well. And what she told me is that the knee jerk reaction to fear. So let me say that again. There is a knee jerk. That means that we don't really have control, right? It's a knee jerk reaction. It was spontaneous. The knee jerk reaction to fear is to try and control. Because when we're experiencing fear, we do not want to stay in that state. And we think that the solution is to control something. So it could be we're afraid of what someone else is going to think or do. So we behave differently. Maybe it's we're afraid of failing, so we don't move forward. Maybe we're afraid of fill in the blank, but you get the point. So we try to control something, we try to manipulate something or control it, and we can get pretty sophisticated in our justifications and excuses. And believe me, I've been there. So, what fear does though is we think that fear like slams on the brakes. Like when you imagine like being in a very like you're in a car and something really scary happens and it's like "Ugh," and you slam on the brakes, right? Well, unfortunately, in life, fear doesn't actually always slam on the brakes. It's more subtle. It whispers to us, and it whispers things like, "What if this? If you do that, what if this happens?" And then it says, what if it doesn't work? What are you going to do then? And then what if it says, what if you fail? How embarrassed are you going to be? How disappointed are others going to be in you? What if people reject you? If you post that, if you say that, if you do that, what if others reject you, abandon you, walk away from you, defriend you because you've taken a stand on something that the Holy Spirit has called you to? What if you invest in something and it doesn't produce a return and you've lost that money? All right. What if God doesn't come through? These are all those whispers, and they can shake us to our core at sometimes. But sometimes, guys, we're not even consciously aware that the whispers are there. We're just feeling that anxiety in us, and we don't want to experience it. We don't want to feel it. So we try to run away from it. We run away from it by going and doing something else. We might try to drink it away. We might try to eat it away. We might try to Netflix binge it away. We might try to exercise it away. We try to make it go away when really the solution is taking it head on and looking at it for what it really is. It's kind of like the boogeyman under the bed or the closet. It is a lot worse than what's actually there. And it's usually nothing when you're willing to take it head on, open that closet door, rip up that dust ruffle, and see what's really under the bed. So, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take a look at what fear really is. Because in business, fear keeps us from starting. And I'm not talking about starting a business. I'm talking about on a daily basis, starting into your most important tasks of the day. Fear tells you, no, don't do that. Go do something else. Okay. Fear tells you to not post today. Oh, you don't really have the right thing to say. You don't have the right graphic to go with it, the right picture to go with it. Ooh, that looks awkward. Just scrap it. Just discard it. Fear tells you not to go live. Oh my gosh, if you go live, what if you hit that button and what if you start going, "Boo, boo, boo?" What if you start drooling? What if you just mind goes blank? Well, guess what? Delete it. What's the worst? This is what you need to start asking yourself. What's the worst thing that could happen, right? Delete it. Big deal. Um, Launching. We don't launch. And when I'm talking about launching a marketing message, launching for the month, launching a new offer, launching a new workshop or a Zoom gathering, not launching a new Facebook group, launching. You know how many clients that I work with and we create all these beautiful things and they stop launching because fear tells them they're going to be rejected, they're going to be embarrassed, or fear tells them, "Oh no, you need to go do this first. You need to make sure your website's perfect before you do that." Fear wants us distracted. It wants us away from if you're doing anything that isn't leading you, if you have a business and you're doing anything that is leading you away from actually serving people, you're probably going in the wrong direction. So for example, if I think my website is going to actually serve somebody versus I spend time actually doing things that will bring me into conversation and real connection with women, giving me the opportunity to actually serve them, that's always the priority over the website. Now, after I reach out, after I make connections, after I serve, if I still have time that day, sure, I can work on the website. But if I'm doing that first, I've got everything out of order. Okay. Um, Fear keeps us from raising our prices. Fear keeps us from hiring help. When you break down the math on hiring help, most of you in business, you probably make 50 to 100 easy an hour if you break down your offer. And but yet you won't pay someone $10 an hour to do things that you're doing. So you're wasting $90 an hour every time you pay someone 10 when you could be making 100. All right. So the math is very simple. It's right there in front of us, but we convince ourselves that we don't deserve to hire or it's going to be too hard to hire. I don't want to train someone. I did that before. I trained them. It didn't work out. Girl, so what? Do it again. Try again and again and again. I don't want to learn technology. I can't. I'm afraid of technology. I'm dumb when it comes to technology. It's too frustrating to me. All right, we're going to talk about that one for real. I'm afraid to look at my numbers. I don't want to look at my numbers. They're not good. There's no reason for me to look at them. I'll look at them when they're good. Girl, they're probably never going to get good if you're not willing to look at them when they're bad. If we're not willing to look at what the numbers are currently telling us so that we can then be eyes wide open, knowing what actions we need to take, the chances are of us actually getting those numbers better are pretty low if we're not willing to look now. If I'm not willing to have difficult conversations because fear says, don't do that. If I'm not willing to follow God's calling because I'm not trusting. So sometimes we think we have a marketing problem. We think we have a sales problem. We think we have a scaling problem. We think we have a confidence problem. We think we have a consistency problem. When underneath it all, it's a fear problem. It's our beliefs. And often those fears are subconscious, meaning that they're very, very present. They're very, very ingrained, but we don't even want to look at them. All we want to do is run from them and use something to try to fix them, make them go away. So this is where I'm going to tell you a story. So, and it's in regards to technology. Back when God called me into, so I had been an entrepreneur for a couple decades. Okay, I'd been in the direct sales and network marketing space, and God called me into. We had a brick and mortar business at the time, a very active family. I did not need one other thing to do. I wasn't looking for something else to do. And God, I'm sitting in church, and literally the Holy Spirit said, Christian coaching. And I was completely unnerved because I was not in the habit of hearing the Lord's voice like that. Excuse me. And not, and so much so, sorry, real life, I'm not editing that out. Okay. So real life, we walked out of church and I turned to my husband. I said, "You're not going to believe what just happened to me in there." And I literally meant that when I said it. I did not think he was going to believe me. And I said, I literally just heard the Lord tell me Christian coaching to pursue becoming a Christian coach. And he goes, and now my husband, we had been married for years. Right now, we've been married almost 32 years in September. It will be a couple months. And I literally, he's like, oh my gosh, here she goes with an idea. What is this now? Right. And he looked at me and he goes, sounds perfect. Sounds perfect. It's like you all rolled up into one. All of your experience that you have as a businesswoman wrapped into your faith and the way you love the Lord. It's like, pff. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my word. The fact that he had that quick. Normally he's more like devil's advocate. Well, let's talk about this. And aren't you already a little busy? And well, how much time is this going to take? And how much money is this going to take? And all, nope, nope, didn't go there at all. He was all in from the beginning. So fast forward now, I go through all my certifications and all of those things, and then I start jumping into Facebook and learning from other coaches and people online, and they're talking another language. They're talking about funnels and email lists and opt-ins and freebies. And I couldn't, if you tried to ask me to define any of those things, if you asked me what a funnel was, I would have said, well, isn't that thing that you use when you want to pour oil into the car? That was a funnel. Okay. That was my definition of a funnel. And people would say, well, you just want to grow your list. You want to grow your list. I'm like, grow my list. I wasn't using email. Bad mistake. Big, big mistake. Um, I was not capturing email addresses for my customers, hadn't been for decades. I wasn't communicating with it. Like, how did you even do that? I had to start looking up MailChimp and trying to figure out, like, how do I even do an opt-in page? What does that even mean? I mean, I was so green when it came to technology, but here's what you really need to know. I had a lot of fear around it. In my mind, I'm just going to be really, really raw and honest. I was not having these conscious thoughts. I wasn't saying these words out loud to myself. It's going to almost make me cry. But the truth is, I was thinking, I'm too dumb to learn that. I don't have the bandwidth to learn that. I don't have it makes me so anxious because it feels too hard. It feels too overwhelming to learn this technology where there's all these intricacies and all these different things you have to know. It's not intuitive. It's not like an iPhone. It's all of these intricacies. And I was like, I don't want to learn it. I can't do that. So you hear all of the things that were coming out of my mouth in my thoughts. I can't do it. It's too hard. It's too overwhelming. I don't want to do it. I'd rather pay someone. I will find the money. I will sell something. I will scrape a barrel before I will actually learn how to do that because it created anxiety. It created fear in me. It made me feel stupid because please hear me, before I even started, I was already deciding I was too dumb to do it. I was going to fail at it. It was going to take me way too long, and it was going to be a massive waste of time, and it was going to completely delay my business. That was a lot. I'm just telling you. And that was a lot of years ago now. So here's what happened. I hired someone, and she was fabulous. She came into my CRM system. I finally, after 3 years, found the right system that was all comprehensive, all in one, because I had a little over here and a little over there and a little over there and a little over there, and I kept having to learn new things. And finally, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm hiring someone. So I hire her. She's with me for 18 months, and she's fabulous. But what I was doing was I was telling myself I didn't need to learn it because she learned it. She was learning it. Well, guess what happened? After being with me for 18 months, you know what happened? She said, Gail, I love you. And she said, but God's calling me to my third business. And I've prayed about this. I do not want to do this to you, but I'm going to give you a month, but I am going to have to leave by the end of the year because I've got to do what God's called me to do. Well, duh. what are the chances that you're going to bring somebody on and they're going to stay with you forever? Not very high, right? People move on. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to come and be with you and grow and learn. And then they launch right to the next thing that they're doing because of the experiences and things that they've learned with you. Well, that's what happened. I I tried to hire, I'm telling you, I asked for referrals left and right. I worked like a dog, and everywhere I went, I hit a dead end, dead end, dead end. And finally, after like a month of trying to hire, it it was not even an option that I wasn't going to hire someone to replace her. Okay? Because I knew best, right? Well, God had other plans because after a month of trying, hiring, not working out, trying, hiring, not working out, asking for more referrals, hiring, not working out, I'm like, okay, Lord, clearly you want me to learn this. And I did for that entire year. I learned my system. And you know what? I learned I can do it. I absolutely can do it. My confidence as a businesswoman grew most, not through serving others. I was a confident in serving others. I was confident in the coach that I was. That wasn't my issue. It was the business part. It was the operations part that I had always farmed off to someone else. And God was like, no more. He knew I needed to grow in my skills in that area. He knew that fear was like an anchor around my legs, pulling me down, something I was having to carry around every day. And he wanted me free of that fear. Okay. But he knew that I had to learn to trust myself when it came to learning something new. And I had to approach it from as a kingdom CEO would approach it and say, I can do this. Lord, with you, you're the one who created me. You created me to be creative. You created me to apply with wisdom my past experiences, and I absolutely can learn and new things, and I can do hard things. And I did it. And that year, that confidence as a businesswoman was a massive, massive, like boom, growth for me. So there had been a great cost to me in not learning it. That cost of farming it off to someone else and not learning it. I lost the confidence. I lost new skills. I held on to fear. I let that lie sit there and say, you can't learn it. It's too hard. It will take you too long. So I wasn't lacking support. I was lacking trust. I was lacking trust. Trust, as I said, trust in myself, trust in being who God says I am, trust in doing hard things. I can do hard things. And trust that I don't have to listen to that lie anymore. I don't care how long I've listened to it. I don't care how long you've listened to something. I hate social media. That's a lie. It's really not true. It's not social media that you hate. It's the emotional reaction you have to social media that you don't like. Okay. Because really, social media in and of itself, if you control your feed, is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful place. You can control absolutely everything that's on your feed. Um, so God's taught me that even though I still experience that knee jerk reaction to the fear, to the control, now I'm taking it head on. Okay, Lord, I'm feeling some fear. I'm wanting to control someone or something. I need to get hands off, let go, and remember, you're driving. Remember, this is your business. Remember, all of your promises are true. I am completely equipped, called, and provided for. There is nothing that happens in my world without your consent. And I get to trust you. But here's what grew the trust, because trust did not come from me willing it. It did not come from me saying, because fear says, like, okay, I'm going to obey you, Lord, after everything turns out all right. No, it says, I'm going to obey you because you're walking with me and I don't have to control the outcome. You are, Lord. Um, in business, fear robs us of our progress and it creates seasons of great delay and great cost to us. So we think we need more confidence. You don't need more confidence. You need more trust. Confidence says, I believe I can. Trust says, I know I can because God will show me how. All right. And that's a huge difference. Confidence. I know I can do it. When inside you're like, yeah, no, she cannot do it. The truth is, I can do it because of who I'm doing it with. It's not about me, it's about God in me. Okay. So we do not grow trust by reading another book, watching another YouTube video, taking another course. All right. We grow trust in relationship with Jesus. And just like every other relationship, any good relationship you have, it's good because you spend time together. It is good because you spend time together. You listen, you talk. And so when you spend time with Jesus, you're learning more about his character, more about his promises, more about his love for you, and your trust. The more you spend, the more your trust in him grows. And that trust anchors you every single morning. You wake up every morning and you say, Lord, you will be first. I will sit in your presence first. I will hear your voice. I will make space to hear your voice. I will seek your word and review your promises over my life. I will spend time with you, Lord, preparing what is most important for me to do on this day. I'll spend time looking at where my priorities maybe have gotten out of whack. And that's why I'm feeling some irritability or unrest, and I'll get those priorities back in alignment, and I will do the hard things first. The most important things, Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. If you don't know the book, go get it. I will eat that frog first. I'll do the hardest things first in the morning because I am then free the rest of the day to experience and feel that momentum that takes me into my day and increases my confidence and trust that what I'm doing is working. So, I'm so committed to that time in the morning because I know what happens to Gail when I don't have it. Because when I don't spend time with Jesus in the morning, my fear gets louder. My calendar gets heavier. My problems feel bigger. Notice I didn't say they get bigger. They feel bigger. And wait for this one. Other people's opinions, they matter more. When I've spent time with the Lord in the morning and I am soaking in, saturating in his promises, his word, his character, his love. Other people's opinions, meh, that's something going on with them. That's between them and the Lord. My anxiety slows down. I can think more calmly, make better decisions, make decisions from love, not decisions trying to protect myself, protect my time. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need to protect our time because we do. We need to protect our time and our energy, but not in a way that builds walls, in a way that allows us to love better. If I'm protecting myself, my energy and my priorities, and it's that those are building walls, that's not what Jesus wanted. Jesus wants me to protect myself and my time so that I don't have walls. I can be more loving. All right. My protection doesn't build a wall, it builds a direction for me to stay focused on. So I get to be calm instead of reactive. When I spend my time with him in the morning, I remember who's actually running my business, who actually called me to my business, and who's actually taking care of things. All right. And I remember that even though my circumstances don't change necessarily in that moment, I change. My thoughts change. And if my beliefs and my thoughts change, my actions are going to change. And then I know that my life will change in time, in God's perfect timing. So the answer isn't trying harder, it's abiding longer. If fear has been driving your business lately, don't start by trying to fix your business. Start by sitting with Jesus longer. So before you open emails, texts, notifications, sit and listen to his voice. He is speaking to you. So instead of opening the emails, we get to open our hearts to his voice. We get to open his word. We get to open our business and say, here, Lord, let me remember that this is yours. You have called me to this. All right. And so I'm here, Lord, for you to transform me through the vehicle of my business. I'm here and ready to take fear head on, to take obstacles head on, and to know that everything that's happening this day is for my good because that's your word. And I'm standing on it and trusting and believing in it. So I'm going to leave you with Isaiah 26:3. The Lord will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. So I want you to go Google the word steadfast, and then I want you to ask yourself, how steadfast is your mind on Jesus? So peace isn't connected to perfect circumstances. If you're thinking, I'll be peaceful when, no, that's not how it works. We are peaceful in the storm. We are peaceful in the obstacles. We are peaceful knowing that God's got us. So the question for you right now is, where has fear been making decisions that belong to faith? And if you would change one thing this week for 7 days straight, if you would give him your first every morning, spend time in his presence, sitting still. Psalm 46:10, be still, and then you will know. All right. And then that trust grows, that love grows. And then you enter into the day from that place of knowing, okay, these are my most important tasks. And I have the courage and the help and strength from the Holy Spirit to go get them done first because they are the priorities. Now, if you happen to be new to me and you don't know about the Master Your Morning 6 steps, it was a 6 step practice the Lord had me create based on, well, there's a whole story behind it. You can, if you're interested, there's a link below, grab the book, and may it be a blessing to you. So that was episode 2. Next week, we have 4 more episodes, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, 3 more episodes. 3 more episodes to follow on freedom. And I look forward to hearing from you guys and how this freedom conversation is going inside of your